And we have new insight from a former attorney at the Department of Justice. This now ousted attorney is detailing how senior officials at the department worked to stonewall judges and ignore court orders. Let's get to CBS News Department of Justice reporter Jake Rosen. Jake, thank you for your time today. What are the details here?
Well, that's right. Erez Reuveni, who was the Department of Justice attorney who admitted in court that Kilmar Garcia, the man at the center of months of back and forth between the judiciary and the Trump administration over whether he should be returned. Now he's charged in Tennessee on human smuggling charges. He admitted in court that the government was wrong, that he should have never been removed from the United States, and that there was no evidence that the Justice Department had given to him to then present to the court to then argue this case. He says that he was fired because of not just that instance, Mugo, but a number of others, including one in which senior Department of Justice leadership held a meeting deciding how they were going to try to circumvent impending court decisions about Alien Enemies Act deportations. In addition to that, what they were going to do about a nationwide injunction in which a judge blocked the Trump administration from moving migrants to third-party countries without A, due process, and B, proper notice. I think this really goes to what we've seen from a number of people who have resigned from the Justice Department. This is one very long example. There's about 30 pages of testimony provided by Reuveni's attorneys. He was placed on administrative leave and then fired, and he has now officially come out as a whistleblower to raise concerns about what the Trump administration and the Justice Department have done to try to skirt months of courts blocking their immigration priorities.
And Jake, a name that came up in this whistleblowers report is a top DOJ official, Emil Bove. And this is a notable name because Bove is now up for confirmation to be a federal appeals court judge. So what is this report alleging about him?
That's right. As we're actually talking, Mugo, Bove is testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which will consider whether to confirm him. It appears by all signs that we've seen so far that is very likely, given the Senate leans towards Republican control. Bove was a criminal attorney that represented President Trump in his criminal trial last year, and you'll have to remember that he is a staunch supporter of the president's immigration agenda as well. And while Attorney General Pam Bondi and others were being put in and confirmed into the Justice Department, Bove was the acting head of many departments. He apparently told not just Reuveni, this whistleblower that we just talked about, but a number of other Justice Department officials that the Department of Justice was going to have to find a way to, an expletive that starts with an F, the courts, in terms of circumventing these orders to find ways to argue with what Reuveni alleges is disinformation and false legal arguments. He is someone who, again, had a lot of power at the beginning of the Trump administration, specifically in January, February, and March, when things like the Alien Enemies Act deportations, which have been so controversial, were underway, in which people were deported without proper due process, in which a lot of these court cases were issued and these back and forth started. And he was the one, Reuveni says, who really took the strongest stance as to how the Trump administration was going to attempt to circumvent these orders.
Wow. So also on our radar is Kilmar Garcia. He will appear in court today. What are we expecting there?
Well, that's right. This is the next step in months of back and forth between the Justice Department and Garcia. He had a judge order on Sunday evening that he is likely to be released as his human smuggling charges play out in a federal court in Tennessee. The Justice Department, after previously deporting him to El Salvador, as we've covered extensively at the network, is now arguing against his release because they fear that ICE and the Department of Homeland Security could could detain him as soon as he is released and then remove him from the United States. So kind of the left arm of the Trump administration not talking to the right necessarily, and the Department of Justice, ironically, after having already deported him and then bringing him back to the United States, arguing that they're worried that if he were to be released, that there is going to be some kind of deportation of him going forward. Obviously, the attorneys for Mr. Garcia have argued he should be detained, or should not be detained, so that he could go live with his wife in Maryland, who he has really not seen since he was removed from the United States back in March.
Wow. I said so many wows, but Jake Rosen, thank you so much for walking us through all of those cases. Appreciate it.
Of course.